Hello. How's everyone doing? My name is Impermanence, and today I am bringing you my second place finish at my locals with Fiendsmith Yubel. I know. Put away the torches and pitchforks. You made a sheep. You're playing Fiendsmith Yubel. Now, understand the position that I am in, right? I have two boxes of the Infinite Bin. I pulled two Fiendsmith Engraver, a Tract, and a Requiem as my secrets. Pretty good in my opinion, right? Right? Now let's look at the meta decks that everyone's playing. We got Fiendsmith Snake Eye, Gimmick Puppet, Tenpai, Melodious, there and all that, right? Madolce. It's like a lot of these decks I really like. However, they can't really contend with the big boys and all that, right? You know, the cool kids club, the table with all the jocks and the pretty girls and stuff like that, right? I went with one that I think I was confident enough that I can play, that I won't mess up any combos. Granted, I did several times in all the games I played, right? But this is the one that I felt like I can at least have some fun, and I was confident enough to play in, right? Now, like looking at the Alphas of the Room, of course, the deck to beat was Fiendsmith Snake Eye, and you really want to run as many non-engine as you can. As you can see, I'm only running 10, but I do got 10 more on my side and all that. Just depending on what matchups I'm running and all that, of course. But like compared to all the decks that I could be playing Melodious, it's insane that the support that they got in Legacy Destruction. However, the main concern is that it's a very hard carry by its non-engine, right? The in-engine, there's not enough in-engine interactions for the deck for it to keep going in a grind game and all that. I didn't like that. It's good, but it's just not enough. Gimmick Puppets, it's an FTK deck, and all that. Great that they got support. But honestly, if I am watching someone FTK me while I can't interact, it's just like, well, not much I can do, right? Tenpai, it's OTK or bust, but really good OTK or bust, right? And all that. There's, of course, Branded, but Branded's main goal is just to puppet lock you, and that's really boring, right? You know, it's just like, oh boy, I got puppet locked, like, you know, someone's flipped a floodgate on me, you know, that stuff's not really enjoyable, right? So I went with one deck that I think I had liked fun. I did have a little bit fun of this when I played a bunch of Fire King Yubel back in Duel Links. Of course, that's Duel Links and not Master Duel or the TCG, but at least in the TCG, I don't gotta deal with a certain bug. So let's go by with the card by card. So Fiendsmith stuff. Preface, I will say there are some ratios that are a little weird compared to some of the top contenders and all that, right? This is just what I personally owned. When I opened my two boxes of info, I did pull two Engraver, a Tract, and a Requiem, and that's what I'm running. Of course, you're just running the one Requiem and one Tract, but you usually want three Fiendsmith Engraver. I only have the two, and I'm probably going to be only playing the two that I got, because that's what I got. Right, and of course we got the one Lurrie, because you can search Lurrie, discard it, and then you can do your full Fiendsmith combo after that, right? It is a light fiend. And then I do have one Unchained Soul of Shavara. Over the course of your combos, right, you're gonna get into the Unchained Soul of Yama, Lord Yama, and searching mostly him off of that because he is an excellent extender for the deck. And then the Yubel stuff, 3 Dark Reckoning Beasts. This is Sacred Beast support. However, coincidentally, it supports the Yubel stuff because of just the stat lines. And this effect right here. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense in addition to your normal summoner set. It's usually Chaos Summoning Beast in the Sacred Beast stuff. However, Samsara D Lotus, Samsara D Lotus also has 0 attack and defense. This card's main starter of the deck. Tribute it, summon a Yubel monster from your deck. You usually go into Spirit, and then when Spirit is special summoned, you can set or add to your hand one spell trap that messes Yubel. Do note, it does not get you Nightmare Throne, because Nightmare Throne does not specifically mention Yubel. it mentions Yubel monster. That modifier, where it says monster, is excluded from this search. So with that, we are running 2 OG Yubel, 1 Terran Incarnate. This is the brick, I guess you can say, right? It's not really a brick because of a certain other monster that we have in the extra deck. I'll get that in a moment, but if it does show up in your hand, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? And of course, 2 Gruesome Grave Squirmer. There are some arguments you can run 3. I like 2 because I think 2 is like the sweet spot and all that, right? 3 I think is just for the grind game. I understand, but I personally like 2 and all that. You control a fiend, special summon this card from your hand. Then you can destroy Yubel or a monster that mentions it in your monster zone. This is optional, of course, and all that. And its graveyard effect is the main important one here as well. Banish it from your grave. You can special summon 1 fiend monster from your with 0 attacking defense from your hand or graveyard. So you can get back a Samsara D Lotus from grave and then start your plays all over again. For the spell lineup, 3 Nightmare Throne. You can take a fiend with a monster with 0 attack defense for your deck, add it to your hand to destroy it. Now, of course, all the Yubels have 0 attack and defense, so you could destroy them, get their effects. Most of the time, depending on how the hand looks, you usually get Samsara D Lotus, of course. And then when face up Yubel monsters, right here, you control these a card by card effect. You can add to your hand 1 Yubel monster that's 1 level or higher or lower, and then summon it, special summon it, ignoring the summoning conditions. This is because both Terra Incarnate and the Ultimate Nightmare cannot be special summoned normally. They have to be special summoned by its previous form's effects. Terra Incarnate must be special summoned by Yubel, and the Ultimate Nightmare must be special summoned because of Terra Incarnate and all that. But this is great because you usually get the Terra Incarnate back in your hand and then special summon it. That it gives you extra material to do some link plays and stuff. That's great. Next up, we got Opening the Spirit Gates. When it's activated, you add any of the 3 Sacred Beasts or 1 monster that specifically mentions it. So, Dark Beckoning Beast, great right here because you can open this. Search Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast can get another Gates and all that, right? It helps out. The other 2 effects, coincidental, of course. You can discard a card, special summon a fiend from with 0 attack defense from your graveyard. Now, this usually, right? Samsara D Lotus. Spirit of Yubel, of course, the then will trigger its special summon effect. Excellent. Extender right there. And then once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add continuous summon from your graveyard to your hand. Rarely does this one come up. There are some cases where it's like, I might need to get that. I might need an extra monster to discard and all. And guess what? Spirit of Yubel and OG Yubel are level 10s. So you can activate this effect in case if you do need the extra discard. I like it. And of course, the other continuous spell besides Spirit Gates is Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain, destroy a dark monster from your hand or field, face the field. And if you do, you can add 1 OG Yubel or 1 card that mentions it from your deck to your hand, except Nightmare Pain. Usually off of this search you get Gruesome Grave Squirmer and all that, right? And because of how the effect is worded, it is all part of 1 effect. So if you do destroy OG Yubel face up on your field, it will not miss timing and you can get Terra Incarnate and all that. And of course we're playing the 1 track with the 2 Fiendsmith Engraver track, get a light fiend and then discard a card. And then its graveyard effect lets us fusion summon a Fiendsmith fusion monster using monsters from our hand or field. We are running 1 Terraforming for the Nightmare Throne, 1 for 1 because Samsara D Lotus is a level 1. 1 Eternal Favorite. This is the pseudo super poly in the deck. You can summon any Yubel monster that's banished in your graveyard, and neither opponent can activate cards or effects when that monster is special summon. Do note that if you special summon Spirit off of this effect, you don't get its effect to add a spell and trap. Do remember that. And 1 Escape the Enchained. Some people play Chamber and all that. I personally don't like Chamber and all that. I prefer Escape because Escape I can pop 1 of my Unchained links and then summon off again with Lord of Yama and all that, right? And it's still online, of course. And then non-engine running 3 Ash. I mean, it's kind of mandatory nowadays. I hate that it's mandatory and all that, but nowadays it's seeing a lot less effect because some cards just place slash set and all that, right? But it's still worth it to have 3 talents, because I think this is a more win me more card, but I do just use it to draw 2 in case stuff happens, right? 1 called by 3 imperm and all that, right? I think the flex spot would just be the talent on all that, right? I definitely will put in my Veilers, more or Nibiru's. I know Nibiru's getting seen a lot more play, so I definitely think Nibiru would be fine here and all that, of course. And then in the extra, I'm running 2 Fiendsmith Yubel. Most lists are running 3. I only own the 2 because I traded with some guy for some of my Ghost Raiders, and he gave me 2 of his Fiendsmith Yubel. So thanks to you, whoever that was. I'm running 2. It must be, and it has its unique summoning condition. Must be special summon from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard into the deck / extra deck. If you're wondering why it says extra deck, well, the Yubel Super Poly can just be recycled. And all that. I am running that as well with 3 Super Poly and all that, right? I was expecting, when I came into those logos, I was expecting to deal with a lot of Snake Eye or Fiendsmith stuff, right? So, of course, I'm running 3 Super Poly because I can just fuse that stuff away. Don't have to worry about it, right? Fiendsmith Yubel, amazing card. It's like a custom card, right? Activate a monster effect, tribute it, and it changes the effect and all that, right? Samsara D Lotus also does the same thing where it can change the effect, but it's only a Yubel monster on the field. Fiendsmith Yubel destroys a monster from anywhere, relatively, right? Excellent card. I am playing 1 Fiendsmith Lacrima. Over the course of your combo, it's a level 6 that summons back a Fiendsmith Engraver, and then it enables rank 6 plays. It also, whenever it gets sent to graveyard, just does 1200 to your opponent. It helps with time. I don't know why he does this. Like, I guess it helps with time, but like, it's so weird. It just does 1200 and all that, right? It helps close out games too as well. I like it, right? And it shuffles any other light fiend from your graveyard deck and deck. Usually, you just bring back your Requiem, so that way you can at least do your Fiendsmith stuff on the crackback. But that's, that's what you usually do. And then I'm playing the TCG exclusive Necroquip Princess, which contact fuses in a sense by sending a above card I control from my hand in the graveyard for field to the graveyard. That is 1 monster equipped with the monster card and 1 fiend monster card. So basically, if you have Requiem equipped to a engraver, this fulfills the entire summoning condition on its own. And all that, of course, and then the engraver itself can just shuffle back other light fiend for your engraver to summon this. That's 2 level 6s, and that's another rank 6 and all that. I do like this, right? And all that, right? Its main effect, equip 1 of those monsters as a card equipped, like it's a 500. Never came up at all. They just never came up. The extra draw came out once. It came out once. I drew my card, and it was Nightmare Throne. I was like, oh my god, what a draw. It did came up and all that. You could probably replace Necroquip with the other TCG exclusive Aerial Eater. I just prefer Necroquip and all that. 1 Unchained Sword Lord of Yama. It gets you the Sharvara. It's 2 Fiends. So depending on how the hand looks, right? 2 Dark Beckoning Beasts on its own gets you to at least to Lord of Yama. And of course, whenever a card I control is destroyed by a card of battle card effect, I can banish this card and summon any fiend from my hand or graveyard. Then I can destroy a card I control. You can usually just summon another spirits, right, and all that. But you don't on all that. What you also could do is summon the other link to Unchained Soul of Rage, right, where you use escape, pop rage, and another card on the field, right? Yama will then trigger, banish it, summon back the rage, right? And then you can still use its effect to quick link summon 1 Dark Link monster and all that, right? And of course, rage, an excellent card. Right here, you can target a fiend when it does get destroyed, right? Usually off of escape, You get to target a fiend in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can add back Sharvara, you can add back Samsara D Lotus, and all that, right? That's usually what I like to add. 1 SP, Little Knight. Of course, generic good stuff, right? Excellent card in general. 1 Muckraker from the Underworld. This is just to help Link climb and all that. I do like it and all that, right? I think this is the one card I might swap out, but I do like it in some scenarios where the hand looks a little crusty and it's just like, I gotta Link climb some way, right? To at least get to my stuff. So there's that. Fiendsmith Requiem, 1 life and all that, right? Part of the Fiendsmith engine, right? You contribute it to summon a Fiendsmith monster from a hand or deck, and then of course it's graveyard effect usually to equip it to a Fiendsmith Engraver that gives it 600 attack. This doesn't really matter because this right here helps to fulfill the summoning requirement for Necroquip Princess. 1 Cross Sheep. I do like Cross Sheep in here. I probably would take it out too with the Muckraker. Cross Sheep, what I like to do, summon the Cross Sheep after I did my searches with Yama, and then summon a Phantom Yubel under it, which then would trigger this effect right here to summon a level 4 lower monster from my graveyard, just to help extend plays and all that, right? 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, depending on the hand as well, right? You could also use the 2 Dark Beckoning Beasts to go into Moon of the Closed Heaven, and then go into Fiendsmith Requiem and do your full Fiendsmith combos there. It's a little crusty and all that because, well, the extra deck space is extremely tight and all that, and of course you really want every card in here to matter a lot. 1 Fiendsmith Sequence, 2 monsters with a Light Fiend. This is a fusion effect and all that by shuffling the materials from your graveyard into the deck. Usually you go into Lacrima. I don't run Disarray. I probably should, and all that. And if I do run Disarray, I probably just cut the Cross Sheep and all that, which gives the deck extra negates and all that, right? Because you can equip and all that, right? I do like it. And then of course the equip effect of Sequence, you make sure your Disarray just cannot be targeted with monster effects or card effects in general and all that. And then the XCs, I am running 3 1 DDD High King Wave Caesar with how many level 6 fiends that I'm making, right? It's kind of just a nice shoe-in and all that, of course. Engraver, Necroquip, and or Lacrima itself makes High King Wave Caesar, and this is my Nibiru Protector, and in case I don't get to Phantom of Yubel, 1 Beatrice Lady the Eternal. There are some decks that abuse Beatrice a lot more than this. I like using Beatrice in case the hand looks weird, because then I can just send, if I do have the hand for it, I could just send a Spirit of Yubel and then activate gates to special summon a fiend with 0 attack and defense, and then I can go into my Yubel stuff after that. And then I'm playing 1 Varudris, the Final Bringer of the End of Times. He needs 2 level 10 monsters, Yubels, right? And he's an Omni that can destroy cards on the field and all that. I do like it and all that. It's just a good end board piece to have. It's excellent. And then my side, Access Code and Unchained Abomination. These are just help to close games out and all that. A lot of the extra deck don't have a whole lot of high attack monsters. The only exception would be Varudris and High King Wave Caesar. And of course the other win condition would be just attacking your bells into stuff, and your opponent takes additional damage, right? Because of Nightmare Pain, because they take all battle damage you would have taken, of course, right? Unchained Bomb, he's really good. He helps just break boards and stuff like that, right? Just and all that. 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Garura. These are just my other super poly targets, along with the Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever. 3 Ghost Bell and 3 Effect Veiler. The thing with my hand trap lineup, I definitely think that I should be running the Nibiru more because of how long the combos have gone these days. And so because of that, I think the ones I would just cut would just be the talents, and I should be running the bureaus. But I I am running this deck just based off of vibes, just what I feel like. I feel like this is what I like, and it worked well for me. I did get second place and all that, right? I did make quite a lot of mistakes, but I was able to just come back from it and stuff like that, right? Um, and of course, this isn't really what the correct ratio is. Of course, you try to want to run 40 cards, although what a current pattern that I'm noticing is that some people aren't running just 40, like they are going a little bit like to 44, 45 and all that even. And it's nice knowing that, like, hey, you kind of have to run the extra non-engine and stuff like that, you know. I do like it. There's also some other cards I do want to mention. Like, I would like to run let's see here, like Appaloosa, of course, right? Appaloosa is nice because, you know, extra negates and all that, right? Disarray, of course. Let's see here. Where are you? There you are. Disarray. You know, he's negates. He can face up cards, not monsters, so you can negate, say, something like a blessing. No, not blessing. The barrier of the voiceless force, right? Meaning, hey, that means your voiceless voice monsters can now be targeted and stuff like that. That's what I like. It's also removal because it is non-destructive removal. So in case I'm in the mirror, I can just send a Yubel. I can send a Yubel they control, and that Yubel does not get to float because it was not destroyed. On all that, of course. And yeah, this is I do like this deck. I think I can improve it as well, and all that. I think I can at least do a little bit better. I'm still trying to get my first ever, like, first place locals win, and that's at least my goal before I ever go to the big leagues and stuff like that. But this is what I ran, and I got second. And I going over to this deck, I really like it a lot because it does have a good enough grind game. Of course, you're gonna be going through a lot of your extra deck and all that, right? But I do think this deck has a good enough grind game, right, and all that, right? Where if you can't close games out with your extra deck, of course you can fall back to the Nightmare Pain, crash into him, your opponent takes thousands of damage and all that. I do like it. It's very strong right now. Of course, we are in the dawn of the final 3 days and all that, of course, of just waiting for the ban list and all that. Everyone's just like, I was like, oh, we need a hard reset. And it's like, yes, we do. I understand, right? I understand and all that, right? And I do think that all the decks, like all the cards here, like Beatrice easily is going to get hit, right? They probably might hit Phantom. They might hit Spirit, of course, but all that, right? I do think this deck will still be good. Would still be top contender and all that, of course, right? With just how the meta is right now, I do think that it might. I do think it might be the best deck after the ban list. Of course, it just really just depends on just how the ban list addresses everything, of course, and all that, right? If I had to, like, describe, like, the matchups, like, and all that, right? The Magical Musketeer Fiendsmith stuff. I played again. My first round was Magical Musketeer Fiendsmith. I won 2-1. Turn 1, and all that. I made a big enough board where my opponent can't do really much anything. They made their max, and I just ashed it and all that. Game 2, he made his big enough board, and I drew, I kid you not, Ash, Talent, called by Imperm, and Terror Incarnate. And I was like, well, I pray that this S is just enough, and it was not. And then game 3, of course, I got him back on the crack pack. He opened all non-engine, and I was able to at least play through all of it. It was great. I think the deck that I think struggles the most would be just Fiendsmith Snake Eye. That's because Fiendsmith Snake Eye, they have too much gas while being backed up by all the non-engine and all that, right? Like, of course, they will just end on the Flamberge, like a 3-mana Appaloosa, Caesar, IP in the back row, stuff like that. While still having 4 cards in hand, and it's just like, oh my god. It's hard just trying to beat boards like that. And all that. I almost am tempted to redo the build just to go more of a super poly, just break the board with Loving Defender Forever and all that. But that would also just ruin the consistency of the deck. And all that. The only other ones I think this deck kind of struggles with would be Tenpai. And that should be just because how Tenpai is built. It's OTK or bust. And all that, of course, right? It comes up in a weird scenario where if they have, oh god, what's the card? I think the it's the Fire Dragon, I believe. Let me look it up. It is, no, not this one. Is it Pydra? It's Pydra. So it comes to a weird position where if they have a second Pydra and all that, right, while the Niper Pain's up, no one just takes damage at all, right? And so it's just like, I'm just kind of sitting there, and it's just like, oh, now he's gonna do his stuff and all that, right? And then I think the Tenpai was the only loss I really had as well. And all that game 1, they are able to play under Shifter, which is just crazy. I was just like, oh, great. I got shifted, so I couldn't do much. Then he OTK me next turn. Game 2, I was able to make my board. He couldn't do much. Then game 3, he opened shifter again. I was just like, well, great house. But I do think that these are probably the harder matchups. It just depends on like how your opponent plays. Of course, most decks fold under shifter and all that, right? You could probably play under shifter, but that means your Fiendsmith stuff does pretty much does not work and all that. You would just have to hard rely on the Yubel stuff, which could just do a lot for you by itself. But I do think this deck has a lot to improve. I can at least improve upon and all that, right? I do think that I can at least do better with it, and all that, right? It's just the Fiendsmith Snake Eye stuff is probably its hardest matchup and all that, right? Just because they have so much gas being backed up by the non-engine, right? The mirror match, god, I don't even want to imagine the mirror match and all that with this, right? Of course, and then of course Tenpai, but that just depends on how the Tenpai player plays it, of course. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I do hope you guys have a wonderful day, and tune in next time. I might show up with another deck list. Bye.